Welcome to Ignite Your Confidence for women in leadership who want to speak up and stand out. I'm your host, Karen Laus. Here you'll get all of the tips and tools that you need to stand out with unshakable confidence. Let's jump into today's episode. Well, folks, today I'm particularly excited because of how Tsikki and I met, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Tsikki, and I'm doing my best to pronounce your name, Tsikki.
You
Tsikki.
got it.
Tsikki
You
Thau.
said it right.
I'll turn it over to you to say, tell us more about you. You're such a beautiful person, and I'm so happy that we connected, and I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, thanks, Karen. Same here. I'm so honored to be here and be with you. It's exciting. I was actually last night so looking forward to this because I know we had an instant connection
Yes.
and I am thrilled. I'm thrilled. You pronounced my name correctly. A lot of people cannot, so I tell them to call me T if they can't say Tiki, but you did it. You did it. So
Thank you.
I'm pretty much, I have a big umbrella that I work under. Of course, I'm a mom, I'm a wife. My greatest passion is my family, but I've been a stress management expert for over 30 years now. I specialize in breath therapy, mind over body techniques, meditation. That was my survival course throughout my life. So that is what I do, and I share and inspire, and that's my job.
I love it. And it's such an incredibly beautiful profession that you have chosen. And I want to tell you, I've never told you this, but
What?
I think about you a lot related to when I notice that I'm not breathing,
Mm,
because you had a great saying. So just for the audience to know, Tsikki and I met when we were both on a panel for another podcast,
yeah.
Passage to Profit. And like you said, we had an immediate connection, and we had a phone call right after that and had a great talk just in general about our lives. And I remember you used a particular phrase that I don't remember, but something about deep breaths, something. It was a saying.
Short breath, short life, long breath, long life.
There it is. That really made me think, because
That hits home, right? It's just,
it really does. And even though I don't remember the exact phrase, I remember it's kind of that whole quote, Maya Angelou, like people, you won't remember exactly what people said, but you'll remember the way they made you feel. And
yeah.
so definitely, and two parts to this, you made me feel just so great. You have such a warmth about you, and it was so easy to immediately feel this connection to you. But then on the really practical side, for what you give in such a short amount of time, that made me start thinking, okay, like then I start breathing more. I can feel it in that diaphragm, that wonderful muscle right around our stomachs there.
Yeah,
So
especially with the work that you do, when we communicate a lot and we have to deliver, we don't just deliver our words, we have to deliver a feeling behind it so people can feel what we're actually saying. And I found that so helpful with breathing because a lot of times when I hear something, I have to feel it as well. Even if it's a different language, I can still understand because of the feeling behind the word. So the breath helps with communication, believe it or not. It's another healing technique that works on your field and my field because, sometimes we don't stop talking.
yes, that is so true. Remembering, everybody listening, to breathe. How would you recommend we think about, so not just the thinking about it, but on a tangible level? What
Mhm.
is a tip that you could provide for us to remember to breathe?
I think gratitude takes you to your breath because if you can recognize that your heart is beating and your breath is the oxygen of your life, of your soul, that's your reminder. I'm breathing, I'm alive, my heart's beating. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here right now and forget about what I have to do tomorrow. Running that marathon, that's what stops people from breathing. So I really believe gratitude and remembering your heartbeat and that breath is oxygen,
Oh,
life force energy.
love it. What was that last part?
Life force energy. Your
Oh,
breath.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is this something that you always wanted to get into? I'm really curious because it's been a long time that
You
you've been
know,
doing
it's funny you said that because people ask me that all the time. If I had a choice, I would be in a fashion house. I would be designing. I would be rocking the fashion world.
it.
But I think God had a different plan for me. And I'm super grateful because this has been my job since I was 16, 17 years old.
What? What was your first job? So tell us about that.
Teaching people how to breathe.
Really? How did you find a job like that, or did you create
You
it?
know, I think to be in this field, you have to experience a lot in your life. And I think pain and trauma,
Hmm.
PTSD, has taught me everything. And the only escape I had, even as a little girl, is my breath. And I discovered very young age that breathing was my technique for survival. And back then I did not know that it was called meditation.
Oh, wow.
And I've developed a system that really works since I was little. And that was just everything to me. And I knew that this is it. So when I recognize somebody else, kind of like the mirror effect, when they're going through pain and stress and trauma and even trying to survive ordeal things, I knew to tell them, hey, let's tap into the breath. This is what worked for me. And of course there's
Wow.
different levels. There's so much you can do with your breath. And I feel like it's a connection to prayer, to God, to the universe, whatever people connect to, but it's a belief system as well for me. It's more than just breathing.
Oh, that's really powerful. Do you
Mhm.
think that that also makes it more effective when people have the belief system along with the breath?
Honestly, I don't think you can go without
Okay.
because everybody needs to believe in something. I have many clients that one of the first questions I ask them is, what do you tap into? What is your belief system? Because I respect all religions, all walks of life. You'll be surprised how many clients will say, I don't believe in anything.
Wow.
And then I say, okay, do you believe in yourself?
Oh,
And they say, yes, there we go. That is your belief system. So as long as you believe in something, that is your connection.
wow.
Mhm.
Wow. Oh, that's such a powerful question.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Do you have people that say no sometimes about believing in themselves?
All the time. But then we find something that they believe in and we go
Right.
with that road. You have to believe, or what's the point? What is the purpose
Right.
that you're serving?
Yeah. Yeah.
Surely it's not entirely just about you.
Yes, I think that is very, very true. And how funny though that yeah, I mean we live in such a society that generally is so self-focused,
Oh, please.
And I get that that's a natural human tendency, but I love that you invite people to be reminded of what they believe in. And that reminds me of the idea of finding your why or finding whatever the compelling reason is that you
Mm,
do the certain things that you do. And so, just to come back to this, then, so when you were 16, because of the trauma that you've experienced in your life, you taught yourself this technique that now you're teaching to others.
correct.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it really, I don't, I'm a little old fashioned maybe. I call it God.
Mhm. Yeah, there's no reason it's not
I don't know
old-fashioned.
what it is with the
I
younger generation today. You have to find the right words, but for me, it's always been God because
Mhm.
there's just no other way that I could have come out of what I've gone through. And I've never lost that feeling. Not only that, I made a pact with God. I said, you know what? I promise you, I promise you that for the rest of my life, I will do this work and I will show others and inspire others so they do not have to feel alone, that they're struggling, that they're in this struggle and they cannot come out because there is a way out.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Mhm. So I live
Wow.
my passion every day. And for me to wake up, it doesn't matter how I feel. I could have really bad days, or there's some days where you're not motivated, you feel discouraged. It's just one of those days.
Mm-hmm.
Get up, show up. You promised. You have work to do. Serve your purpose
Wow. So that's what you say to yourself on the days,
every day.
especially that you don't. Okay. Wow.
Mhm.
That's such a powerful thing around the purpose piece. And I know you've got such a powerful story. Would you be willing to share some of that trauma or pain that you
There's
experienced?
so much of it. If you ever spoke to my mom, she's gonna be like, God, go away. It's been never ending with this girl since the day she was born.
Well, you are an overcomer. If anybody's an overcomer, you certainly are.
Yeah. To be really brief and not to go into too much detail, I will say that it included a lot of pain, a lot of torment, a lot of physical, mental, emotional pain, abuse, a lot of things that are unexpected, that you think you're having a good day and you're going to have the best day of your life. And all of a sudden, when they say your life can change in a second, well, it's true. And it was just so shocking. And I didn't think I would come out of it, honestly. I prayed. And while I was going through pain or whatever was inflicted on me, as you can possibly imagine a little bit, I felt departed, like detached from my body, and watching myself get injured and tortured and abused. I felt nothing, because I felt that prayer, the blessing, the light, whatever you can specify it as. I can't pinpoint it. I know it was God.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned how to use that technique, and everything else I've gone through, it just never ended. It was just pain, 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 survival, pain. And I almost got used to that.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
almost, I almost said, what's next?
So did it almost feel like that was normal to you, or did you know that it wasn't? No, I don't want to say normal. What's normal? But I mean,
I didn't know that I would
typical.
use my liberation or my survival as a technique to help others, to inspire others, as a tool, as a gift. Back then, I only honestly thought that I'm being punished.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So,
I just felt, why, when you look at other people having normal lives and they're just joyful and the smiles, and why is this happening, God? Like, I kept saying, I don't understand.
mm-hmm.
I just don't understand. But you know what? I love you. Like, I know I'm connected to something above me, greater than me, without sounding religious or anything. I just knew that that was my support system above my family, my parents. I just knew that I had to rely on that. And
Wow. And that for you is God. That's
ab-
amazing.
absolutely.
Would you be able or willing to give us a glimpse or maybe an example of some of I'm just thinking about the women out there that can relate to your story, or maybe have been in or are
Mhm,
in a certain situation now that you might have been through. Is there
mhm.
anything specific or an example that you could offer us?
You're good, Karen. um, you know, it, a lot of it is to do with grief. When
Okay.
you're told when you're super young that you might lose it was my brother at that time, that he was dying and there's nothing anybody could do. And he was my almost like my twin. I couldn't deal with that type of stress. And I had to turn, and this is where I actually discovered meditation, believe it or not. I was super young, like maybe four,
Wow.
5, 6 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
I would sit in like a field of flowers and pray for my brother. And all of a sudden I started hearing within the silence, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
feeling and understanding that this is another breath that I'm breathing. This is helpful. And I shared it with my family that, I think my brother is going to be okay, even though he did pass away later
Oh,
on, but he did survive for 30 years of his life. He lived.
wow.
Or we were told that he wasn't. And then later on, I experienced numerous occasions of complete surprised. It's hard to say, where you're just maybe too trusting or too naive, or I don't know what it was, but I was completely taken advantage of, you know, and abused, and sexually as well, sexually abused. And I didn't think I would come out of it. I had no one to call, I had nowhere to run. I was in a strange place, and it was
Wow.
it was rough. It was tough. It was, and it happened again and again. So this is why I really believe in empowering women and telling your story, even when you're told not to, if you're threatened. If I was threatened pretty badly, that if you tell anything to anyone, your whole family will disappear.
What?
Yeah. So I kept quiet for many, many years,
Oh my gosh.
because some people, when you're so young and naive, you live in fear. Once things are inflicted upon you against your will,
Yeah.
the fear takes over. you know so I really, when I came out of it and I spoke, I told my mother, I told my father, it was so, like, a big weight came off me. And of course, why didn't you tell us?
Wow.
We could have
How
been
old were you at the time?
like 16, 17, around there.
Oh my gosh. And were your parents supportive?
Absolutely. My poor dad cried so hard. My mom, it was just heartbreaking for them, because I didn't want my family to disappear. So of course I'm going to keep quiet for the
Of
rest of my
course.
life.
Yes. What compelled you to say something then? What shifted?
I think my mom just knew by looking at me, she could tell I was operating on a fear. I wanted to stay home. I wanted to be close to my family. I didn't want to operate like every other teenager out there. I didn't, I didn't, I just closed up. I wrote
Hmm.
poetry, I listened to music, I worked on other things that made me happy. It's not that I was unhappy. I was very happy. I was just traumatized.
It's so interesting to think that those two can live side by side, because I
Mhm.
think a lot of us, and especially for those that have experienced or are experiencing trauma, like that consumes them. So for you to be able to be traumatized, have all this abuse and all of the things that have happened, and still maintain this happiness and things for yourself. I mean, talk about character strength.
Thank you.
Seriously, that is incredible. So many people aren't integrated with the good and the bad. We tend to think, we're all good or we're all bad, and it's hard to integrate those things. And it just sounds like you're so beautifully integrated. That's incredible.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to someone? I'm thinking about the woman that might be listening to this that is feeling, not just feeling, but is being traumatized or threatened. What would you say?
They really, really talk, speak up, speak up. There's always somebody out there that will listen and will care and will embrace that for you and possibly take you to the next level of healing just by speaking up. Um, it's not fair
Mhm.
that we have to hold these secrets. Also, as women, we deal with a lot of things. We have responsibilities. I mean, as a mother, I know that I had to perform for my children as well. I have to show strength. But we also can let those guards down sometimes, and we don't have to be so perfect all the time and have everything in order. And, mom can be weak, a woman can be weak, and that weakness can turn into strength. So I think feeling vulnerable is powerful.
Yes. Yes. That is so important. And think about all of the people that are hiding behind things, or whether it's fear or whatever, could be trauma as well. But I have personally found too that, and I want to make sure that anybody listening to knows that sometimes the first step is just to tell one person that you feel safe with.
Yeah, you'll be surprised how many strangers are out there that will listen to you. You don't have I believe in angels everywhere, all around us. You're one of them. I mean, our connection was just so profound and so instant. What is that? It's just coincidence.
Well, you and I both believe in God. I think that's a God thing.
It's just meant to be, it's these I
Yes.
believe in connections because I cannot tell you how many complete strangers have turned out to be my very best friends till today. All my friendships have lasted 20 years and longer. And it's these connections that I believe that, someone is out there for you always. You're never, ever alone. And I think that's one thing every woman out there and males should know. They do not need to feel alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a little pushy because I can tell when someone's not, and tell me about it. What is going on with you? Are you having a bad day?
Hmm.
Know that someone is out there to listen. You don't have to be an expert to listen to someone. You don't have to be an expert to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And what a good reminder. I feel like so many people
Mhm.
just need someone to listen and sit with them, to be in the well with them, or be in, whatever. And
Mhm.
yet our knee-jerk reaction is to offer advice or to feel like we have to solve a problem. And I think that's another thing that's so important for people to remember, that the best thing that we can offer someone is our presence.
Absolutely. That is so beautifully said. I'm in total agreement with that. And also everybody got so used to being defensive and in their bubble. Then when you ask them, "Hey, how you doing?" "I'm fine."
Yeah.
"Okay, I'm good. I got this." How often do you hear that?
I know. It's so true.
That's the signal saying, "Okay, you're not."
Yeah, exactly. Let's probe a little bit more. Yeah, that's a good tip. If somebody says they're fine or gives you the hand, you say, "Tell me more." I really want to hear. Well, I'm thinking about the people that have been a positive force in your life when you were
Mm.
younger. Who is someone that has been a mentor to you, formally or informally, and how, or someone that has most influenced your life?
I will definitely say my mother. She saw everything I went through. All the way, even we have some funny experiences when I was pregnant. Even when I was pregnant, I could not have a normal pregnancy, it was just trauma from day one till I gave birth to both my boys. And it was traumatizing as well. I was told that they weren't gonna make it, you know. And
In your womb before they were born?
no, both born preemies. I mean, my oldest is turning 25 and my younger 23, and we have a 11-year-old, but they were both miracles, like true miracles. When the first one was born at 8 months, you cannot comprehend how it feels when you finally, because all I ever wanted was to have kids. That was my biggest dream in life, is to have my own. And when the doctor comes to you, when you rushed into emergency and blah blah blah, and I don't know how to tell you this, Tiki, but in the next 24 hours, your son might not make it. Then I really went into a form of despair and I said, "Where are you? I need you. Where are you? I need a miracle here." Like I lost, when people say you can snap or you can lose touch, I really felt like I was going through that because I was watching all these moms with their babies, with their
Oh,
newborns, and there's me. Where is my child?
oh,
Both go back to say that my mother has always been there for me and reminded me, Tiki, don't lose faith. Don't lose faith because it's going to be okay. You've gone through so much in your life. You're going to get through this too, you know.
wow.
And yeah, it worked.
What was the time frame? So you prayed or you said, "Where are you?"
In
To
the hospital, when I was really, I mean, a 24-hour period is very short when you've just gone through so much trauma. The idea of losing your child within that time, it is probably the scariest thing I've ever experienced.
wow.
So I prayed. I prayed the entire time. They wanted to give me medication. They wanted to even tie my arm because I wanted to pull everything out of me and run to see my child who was held in that, what do you call
Oh, yeah,
it?
the little
Or
incubator
the
thing
little,
or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and they wouldn't let me see him. And I was just, no, I refuse to accept this. I'm going to go to a place where I recognize since I was little. And I went there. I went there deeply and I said, I can't see you. I can't feel you. I can't hear anything, but I know that you were there. Please, I need a miracle. Just put your hands, do something with my child. I want to hear good news. And to be honest, before I even knew it, the doctor ran back in the room, jumped on the bed, and I was in so much pain from the C-section. He said, this is a miracle. That was his word.
He
He said,
said it's a miracle.
that's a miracle. This is a miracle. Your son made it through. Your son made it through, and he's breathing, and we're going to get through this.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Wow.
and now they wonder 25 years later, 23 years later, why I stare at them. I just stare at them.
And now they're off on a big trip, right?
Yeah, they're working entrepreneurs, living their best life. And the exact same thing happened with my second child, too, mind you, except it happened in the United States. I was the one that had to calm the doctors down and said, don't worry, guys. My son's going through a transition. He's going to make it. Everything will be okay. Everything will be fine. Take a deep breath. He's making it through.
Here you are coaching them about your child. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and some of these
Wow.
doctors and nurses are still my friends today because we had so much fun breathing and meditating together.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Well, let's transition and talk a little bit about how you work with clients. Tell us a little bit more about what that looks like.
Sure. They call, make an appointment. I have different packages available. We go through transformation sessions where I get to know them first. They bring me a bunch of questions. We target all their doubts, all their fears. And, it can happen really fast or a few sessions, and some of them just stay ongoing
Yeah.
for a long time. They have their weekly VIP spots, and we do a lot of talking. We do a lot of energy work as well.
Okay.
Um, I teach them how to breathe, how to meditate, some yoga moves, or some. I don't know if you've heard of qigong. Do you know what that is?
No. Well, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
I've studied it for many years with martial arts. So it's a movement. It's you do energy and movement. So it's like you gather the universe, for example, and it will keep you centered.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people in wheelchairs that, I have a few clients like that they cannot move and they cannot, they have breathing problems and all. So you teach them different ways to understand how the breath could work in their body and how powerful the brain is. If you tell your
Wow.
brain, I need you to talk to my heart or to talk to my lungs or, to connect with the organs that are not functioning 100%.
Hmm.
So we work on that. We work a lot on trauma,
Okay.
grief, a lot of grievers, a lot of people that are grieving, whether it's grieving on their loved ones, animals, even just something that they lost. It doesn't have to be a death per se of a loved one, but it can just some people lost their jobs,
Sure.
you
Yeah.
know, lost their confidence.
Hmm.
A lot of women after, transitions. Right now, a lot is going on with perimenopause, menopause,
Oh, yes.
that's also a form of loss and fear. And
Right. Right.
Basically working with PTSD, trauma, everything.
Yeah, well, and it's such a beautiful thing that you offer because like you said, I mean, in my mind, everybody can benefit from what you do. And you've got such I mean, first of all, it's so cool that you taught yourself this as a young woman and to be teaching it now is incredible.
Thank you so much, Karen. And I love what you do as well. And you teach every day, and I learn from you.
Aw, thank you. Well, I think that's why we have such a great connection on so many levels. So is there anything that I haven't asked you yet that you want me to ask or that you want to share?
I think that was quite a lot of information for such a short time.
Yes, I think so too. Well, I love how you have overcome so many things and you have such a beautiful personality and such solid expertise around what you do. What the other thing that I love about what you do is that so many people, I feel like with meditation have that has become more popular in the last even 10 years, but you started doing it at such an early age. I feel like from a credibility perspective, even you've got such a solid background related to it.
Oh, I so appreciate you saying that. And it's interesting because I celebrate that every day now because back then it was sort of not, I wouldn't say a joke, but people say, where is your space? Where are you at? This is not real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
This is not real. You need to get with reality. And it's funny that that reality has become everybody's reality today.
I know exactly. Well, you were a pioneer for sure. Well, Tsiki, so great to have you here on the podcast. Where can people reach you to set up an appointment or learn more about you?
I have my website, tsikithau.com. Also, my social media. I'm on Instagram, Tsikki Thau Official. Can message me anywhere there, Facebook as well. I'm learning about Twitter. It's a little bit of tricky.
Oh boy. Yeah. I kind of gave that one up.
You do?
Good
I'm
for you.
I'm trying, but it's tricky.
Yes, it is. It is. Well, I'm glad that people can find you. I know you are definitely very active. So thank you again for being here today. And I look forward to more conversations.
Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap of another episode of Ignite Your Confidence. I'm your host, Karen Laus. Thank you so much for listening. If you loved today's episode, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps other people find the podcast faster, and it certainly helps me. If you're interested in more tips and tools around confidence, please join me over in my Facebook group called Ignite Your Confidence with Karen Laus. Remember, you too can stand out with unshakable confidence.